Wishing you all a great day, dear students. I'm sure all of you must be listening to a number of animal stories, or you must be reading many animal stories. Last year, in your Standard 6th English textbook, you read the story of how the dog found himself a master. That too was a story related to an animal. Today, in your supplementary textbook, you have a beautiful story which is related to the elephant. The story is set up in the time when the elephant didn't have a long trunk. So let us read and understand how Golu the elephant grows a long nose. Open your textbooks to lesson number 5 of the supplementary reader, Golu grows a nose. There was a time when the elephant had no trunk. Golu, a baby elephant with a bulgy nose, is full of questions. Bulgy means a fat nose or a nose that looks like it's swollen. He goes to the Limpopo River to find out more about the crocodile's eating habits. Limpopo is a river in Southeast Africa. Long ago, the elephant had no trunk. He had only a bulgy nose as big as a boot. As big as a boot means as big as a shoe. He could wriggle it from side to side. Wriggle it means he could move it from one side to the other side, but couldn't pick up things with it. Now you know you have seen an elephant, and an elephant uses its trunk to pick up different kinds of things. But earlier, when the elephant had no trunk, he just had a bulgy nose which would not help him to pick up anything. Now, this story is about a baby elephant whose name was Golu. He too had no trunk but only a bulgy nose, which was as small as a small boot. Golu was full of questions. Full of questions means he was very curious to know many things. He asked his tall aunt, the ostrich. You know who is an ostrich? An ostrich is a very tall bird. Why don't you ever fly like the other birds? So see, he wants to know why the ostrich doesn't fly. Then he asked his tall uncle, the giraffe, what makes your skin so spotty? So spotty means full of spots. He asked his huge uncle, the hippopotamus, why are your eyes always so red? He asked his hairy uncle, the baboon, why do melons taste like melons? I'm sure you have seen melons, mashed melons, and watermelons. So he wants to know why the melons taste like melons only and they don't taste like something else. The ostrich, the giraffe, the hippopotamus, and the baboon had no answers to Golu's questions. Golu is a naughty baby, they said. He asks such difficult questions. One day, Golu met the myna bird sitting in the middle of a bush, and he asked her, what does the crocodile have for dinner? The myna said, go to the banks of the Limpopo River and find out. Golu went home. He took 100 sugarcane, 50 dozen bananas, and 25 melons. Then he said to his family, goodbye, I'm going to the great grassy Limpopo River. I'll find out what the crocodile has for dinner. So Golu leaves his home and goes to the Limpopo River to see what the great crocodiles eat. He had never seen a crocodile and didn't know what a crocodile looks like. He met a python and asked him, "Have you ever seen a crocodile? What does he look like? What does he have for dinner?" The python uncoiled himself from the branch of a tree. Uncoiled means he had gone round the branch of a tree. Now, when Golu started talking to him, he left the branch of the tree. So, he uncoiled himself from the branch of the tree. And after he had uncoiled himself, he said nothing. Golu helped the python to coil himself once again around the branch of the tree and said goodbye to him. Golu meets the crocodile face to face. He gets the python's help when he needs it the most. Golu grows a long and useful nose. Golu moved on eating sugar canes, bananas, and melons. After a few days, he reached the great grassy Limpopo River. On the bank of the river, he saw a log of wood. A log of wood means a big piece of wood. It was really the crocodile who winked at him. So when Golu reached the Limpopo River, he met the crocodile there. And when he saw the crocodile winked at him. Winked at him means he opened and closed one eye. "Excuse me," said Golu, "have you ever seen a crocodile?" The crocodile winked again and lifted half his tail out of the mud. "Come here, little one," said the crocodile. "Why do you ask such questions? I want to know. Come close, little one, for I am the crocodile." And the crocodile shed crocodile tears to show it was quite true. That is why very often when someone is pretending to cry, we say that that person is shedding crocodile tears. Golu was afraid, but he sat down on the banks of the river and said, "You are the very person I was looking for. Please tell me what you have for dinner." So now Golu meets the crocodile and is asking the crocodile what it has for dinner. So the crocodile says, "Come here, little one, and I'll whisper the answer to you." Whisper means I will tell you the answer very quietly, very softly in your ears. Golu put his head down very close to the crocodile's snout. Snout means the long nose or the long mouth of the crocodile that's coming out. When Golu put his head down, the crocodile caught him by his nose. "I think," said the crocodile, "today a baby elephant will be my dinner." "Let me go! You are hurting me, Mr. Crocodile!" screamed Golu. The python, who had been slowly following Golu, came to the bank and said, "If you do not pull as hard as you can, the crocodile will drag you into the stream." So the python is telling Golu, if you don't pull yourself as hard as you can, the crocodile will forcefully take you into the water. Golu sat back on his hunches and pulled and pulled. The crocodile slipped into the water, making it all creaming, with great sweeps of its tail, and pulled and pulled. Now the struggle between Golu and the crocodile had started. Then the python coiled itself round Golu's stomach and said, "Let's pull harder." Golu dug in all his four legs into the mud and pulled. So now Golu used as much force as he could. Since the crocodile had held Golu by his nose, Golu's nose began stretching and becoming longer and longer. At each pull, the nose was growing longer and more longer. This hurt Golu a lot. The nose was now 5 feet long, but it was free at last. That means the crocodile left Golu's nose. Golu sat down with his nose wrapped up to a banana leaf and hung it in the Great Limpopo River. Golu sat there for 2 days waiting for his nose to cool and shrink. Shrink means to become small. It became cool, but it did not shrink, it remained long only. At the end of the second day, a fly came and stuck Golu on the shoulder. At this moment, Golu lifted his long nose, that is his trunk, and it hit the fly. Advantage number one, hissed the python. You know, to hiss means a sound made by the snake. You couldn't have done it with a small nose. Try and eat a little now. Golu put his trunk out and pulled a large bundle of grass. He dusted it against his forelegs. Forelegs means the front legs. And stuffed it into his mouth. Stuffed it means and put it into his mouth. Advantage number two, hissed the python. You couldn't have done it with a small nose. Don't you think the sun is too hot now? Golu scooped up some mud from the bank and slapped it on his head. Advantage number three, hissed the python. You couldn't have done it with a small nose. Thank you, Mr. Python, said Golu gratefully. I'll remember all this, and now I'll go back to my family. So Golu shows a lot of gratitude to the python who taught him that although he had to suffer, he also benefited a lot.